You're 17.
The following video is a compilation of responses found on Reddit. These responses are based on people's creepy experiences with online games. From being blackmailed to receiving creepy messages, here are 13 scary things that happened while playing an online game. Enjoy. I played World of Warcraft with a guy who was American but lived in Japan. Then that tsunami hit, and none of us heard from him again. A few years back, when Grand Theft Auto 5 first came out, I had a group of friends I played with daily. One day, we matchmade for some death matches or races or something. I don't remember, but we decided to invite the people we matched with to an Xbox Live party. We all played for a few hours, added each other, and then went to bed. The next day, when I got online, one of the guys from the session invited me to a party the moment I turned my Xbox on. I joined, and at first he was cool, but then he started talking to his wife and kids while playing. You could definitely tell nobody was there, as his mic picked up every little sound, even just the sound of him moving his analog sticks. No other voices came through his headset. He then thanked his wife for making him something to eat, and then started smacking his lips and making fake eating sounds. I ended up asking him if I could say hi to his wife or one of his kids, and he got really defensive and made a bunch of excuses, like they just went out to the store. But you were just talking about what to make for dinner not 15 seconds ago. I called him out, and he just left the party. Never heard from him again. So I play PUBG Mobile, which has voice chat as we all know. So I load up squads and we're playing and I'm talking and communicating with everyone on my team, but this one guy whose mic was buzzing static. Well, it's the bottom of the match and we've almost won when we get cornered in a house. So as we're shooting and covering, this dude's mic spits into life and the static stopped. All I hear is, "Watch where you point that," and a boom before this dude's character just stops moving. Well, we lost the round, but I can't help but wonder what happened. A female gamer here, so I have encountered almost all kinds of creeps. One of the most memorable was a guy, we'll call him Kevin, who played a few games of Modern Warfare 3 with me and a couple of friends. Kevin became so infatuated by the sound of my voice that he wouldn't play with our group unless I was there and actively talking. Eventually, he wanted to play games with only me and no one else. I had a bad feeling about it, so I never joined him. He private messaged me, hoping that I would join a private chat. When I refused, Kevin became desperate. Any game I was playing by myself, he wanted to join me. When I logged onto my console, he would message me almost immediately. He wanted to hear my voice on the mic so badly that he even offered to buy me some online games if I talked to him for a few minutes. He got upset when I refused him again. His attitude changed and he turned into a huge asshole. All of a sudden, I being his hopeful love interest was demoted to whore and bitch. Kevin realized that his little plan had backfired when I wasn't caving into his breakdown. He begged for me to send him a voice message of myself moaning in pleasure. I told him off and blocked him. Once upon a time, while playing Duck Game, I got into a lobby with 4 people. One of them left after 2 rounds. There was only me, the host, and that player I will be talking about. It was a standard match, nothing standard out of bounds of normality. Until, well, let's just say that the guy we're talking about didn't play at all. He was just standing in place and wrote strange messages, some of which are described later. He had a dinosaur hat and did nothing but tell strange things in the chat. He said anything he could say. He talked about some stories that his grandmother told him. He talked about a man who stole his father's car. I can clearly remember the message that caught me the most out of other riddles that he wrote. A man stole my father's car. My family was in grief. Because we cannot get another car, seems like he was poor. But not to worry. This man will never steal cars from other people ever again. He met him. When the match has ended, he said that his grandmother told him that the end is coming. He left. I was concerned on his words, stunned. I met him later the same day in another lobby. I asked him what he was talking about last time. Yes, you're right. The end is coming. My grandmother never lies. 27th of November. Soon my words will come true. And with that, I will eradicate from current existence. And he left the lobby. That was by far the most creepy encounter of mine. 3 years ago by now, but I still freak out every November 27th. A few years ago, when Steam was old, real old, the retro days of Half-Life and Team Fortress, I had an account that I used to play Half-Life Deathmatch and generally play mods on. I had just about one friend on Steam at the time who I knew well. I never really interacted with people in online games. I got this ad from a guy called Toymaker26. I didn't recognize the name from any game I had played, so I declined. A week later on the same day, at around the same time, I get a notification that Toymaker26 has added me as a friend, which was creepy to say the least. I gave him the benefit of the doubt by accepting, thinking maybe he was a real-life friend or something. As soon as I did, a chat box pops up from him saying, "Hi, are you okay?" or something to that effect. But before I could say the generic "I'm good," he sent me this link that was clearly a virus link. Being a fearless bastard, I clicked it just to see what would happen. Not really, I just clicked it because I didn't know any better. Boy, what a mistake. The webpage opened up with all these really low quality pictures of people mutilated and the sound playing in the back like a really distant laugh that was on a loop. I remember my heart literally drained from fear. I'm sure you know the feeling. I obviously clicked out of it, but my desktop background was a close-up of one of those fucked up images. My disk drive kept opening and closing, and a message box popped up asking if I was okay before my computer completely shut down. It never turned on again. A forever blue screen. We had to get a new PC, I remember. Apparently every file on the computer had been corrupted, even BIOS data, somehow. I still have no idea who Toymaker26 is to this day, or why he did it. But all I know is that those were some amazing hacking skills he's got. I was about 13 at the time, and I was scared shitless. I'm a moderator in a browser game. I have only had one seriously bad interaction with a player. I warned and then banned him for an hour for some jackassery. So the player logs into another account to discuss it with me. That's not uncommon, and I'm happy to discuss it further as long as it remains civil. And it was fine, initially. The guy starts getting testy and rude and agitated. Then he types my first name and some unknown surname with a question mark, then again with a different surname. This guy is trying to figure out who I am in real life. It took me a little bit to realize what was happening, and it scared the shit out of me. Told one of the admins, and the guy was promptly permabanned. He later told one of the admins he was only doing it to put a face to the name so he could more calmly discuss it. Even if that is true, I do not give a fuck. Get away from me forever. When I was 13, me and my little cousin were playing INVU, a shitty online dating sim that his sister had downloaded. We were looking to get into some lesbian stuff, playing as a female, and start flirting with this other female avatar. At some point, the other person asks where we live. Being not so dumb, we claim that we are in the next province over where I live. We return the question, and it turns out that this person lives in the same town where we currently are, meaning near my cousin's place. It's a really small town, so we mentioned being familiar with it. Turns out the other player is down the road from us. We get seriously creeped out and just logged off. Heard gunshots, then a couple of dudes arguing, then silence. Then the player was kicked for inactivity. Didn't or couldn't call the cops. Didn't even know where to start. They could have been anywhere in the US or Canada. Also, I was like 14, so I was just mad about the loud noises and didn't even process what I had heard until like an hour later. I haven't had any, but my wife and I made some friends playing Halo, and she got to know them pretty well. We'd log on most nights and shoot the shit while shooting shit. One day, while she was playing with one of these guys, they start talking about relationships, etc., as well as sex. To my wife, it doesn't seem like a weird conversation. The guy does say he's lonely because he's been single for a while. But generally speaking, they're not really saying anything inappropriate or particularly dirty. A little while later, he confesses to her that he jerked off while she was talking and asked if that bothered her. Her initial reaction was that it was a bit weird, but she sympathized with him and wasn't going to hold it against him. But a few hours later, when I got home from work, she had really started to be bothered by it and wanted to unfriend/block the guy, but felt bad about it because she didn't really feel justified, especially since she'd already sort of forgiven him. But she didn't feel comfortable with the idea of talking to him again. After agonizing about it for a while, she decided to block him and try and forget about it. I think that day we both learned that you really do have to curate your online experience, and there's no reason not to cut ties with people who cross a line. You don't owe those people anything, but it was really weird how this guy kind of violated her trust, and she still somehow felt like the bad guy for not wanting to be his friend anymore. Decided to give the game Second Life a try. Stupidly named my character after my sure name. Went into the game, and these two American guys asked me if I wanted to see the fucked up side of the game, which I thought was going to be super funny, so I agreed. They took me to this strange house that someone had built full of giant furries masturbating and having sex. He then turned to me and asked if blank was my full name. A little shaken, I replied yes. He then started to list all of my social medias and said that he would upload pictures to my Facebook about what I was looking at on the game. I freaked out, logged off, and I've never touched that game again. This was like 2010. StarCraft 2 had just come out. I was arguing with a dude that was raging and threatening me. There was a brief pause in the conversation, and I thought it was over. Then he came back and said, "Hello, actual real life name. You still think I can't find you? You think you can hide from me?" I told him I wasn't hiding, and he should walk through my front door because I left it unlocked for him. To this day, I have no idea how he found out my real name. Okay, so when I was playing Minecraft with some friends, I offhandedly mentioned that I was hungry. One guy who I didn't know but seemed relatively normal at the time said, "A pizza is on its way to your house." I immediately checked back in chat because I did not remember typing up my address, let alone giving it to someone I didn't know personally. I acted normal and kept playing. 30 minutes later, a pizza arrived at my door, already paid for. I immediately told all my friends to watch out for him, since he had somehow gotten my address. I have not heard or spoken to him in a couple of years. However, I am still somewhat cautious about giving out any information that may pin down my location. If you've had any creepy experiences with online games, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.